Welcome to 30 Days on Mount Desert Island. Today is December 27, 2018, and I'm Todd Dunn. Today, I am at the westernmost point on Mount Desert Island. This is Bartletts Landing, and the water here is Bartlett Narrows, and across the water is Bartletts Island, and on the other side of Bartletts Island is Blue Hill Bay. We're about 2/3 of the way up the western side of the island, and from here, as you go north, the island veers back east until we get to the causeway to the mainland. So what we're going to do today is take a look at Bartletts Landing and also drive down the western side of the island to the south to show you just what this side of the island looks like. Now this side of the island is referred to as the quiet side, and you're going to see why. Right here at the end of the road, there's an anchorage where right now there are some lobster boats and scallop draggers anchored or moored, and there's a town dock. We're in the town of Mount Desert, which extends all the way across the island from Otter Creek in the east to right here, and includes the northern half of Long Pond. So this is the inner part of the anchorage, and you can see there are quite a few cars here today. These belong to lobster fishermen and scallop fishermen who are out there working. In fact, just as I arrived, a boat came in and unloaded its scallop catch for the day. So right now is scallop season. I'm going to walk down and show you the boat ramp. Here's the boat ramp. It's probably the smallest boat ramp on the island, very narrow. But you can launch here, and there is room to park your trailer. And from here, the road just goes up away from the boat launch. So what we're going to do right now is drive back up to the main road and then turn right and head south on Route 102 down to Bass Harbor at the southern end of this west side of Mount Desert Island. All right, now I'm headed south on Route 102A. About half a mile from the turn off to Bartlett Narrows, we come to the turn to the Pretty Marsh Camp picnic area where I was yesterday. And we'll continue down the road. Sorry, we're pretty much straight into the sun for parts of this. And we are currently in the town of Mount Desert, and Acadia National Park is on both sides of the road here, although on the right hand side it ends very quickly. And we are about to drive out of Mount Desert into the town of Tremont. And there are several villages in Tremont on this side of the island. The first one is Center, which we just entered. And you'll remember that in Maine, municipalities occupy all of the land. So you might be driving through the woods like this for several miles and be in a town. So this is just a drive through the woods for a while, so I'm going to stop until we get to something. We're still in the village of Center. We haven't really gotten to anything except a few houses. Now as we drive down this side of the island, the road is mostly inland, and there are periodic roads that go out to the various points on the western side of the island. And we're not going to take any of those today because they really don't go down to the water. They just go to the homes that are down on the water. So this is the core of the village of Center. There's not much here, as you can see. The main business here is a storage facility right here, which is pretty much new, and I don't know anything about it other than that. And now we're going to drive out of the main part of town. On the left there, you can see one of the ponds. I'll slow down. You can see it over there. And that is Hadlock Pond. And the first thing we come to as we enter the village of Seal Cove is the Seal Cove Auto Museum. It's not open today, I don't think, but I'm going to drive up and show it to you. This is a neat little museum. It has a collection of brass age cars starting right around 1900 and going up into the 20s. They have 80 to 100 cars and a lot of old motorcycles. Their car collection includes everything from Model Ts to Stanley steamers. It doesn't look like much, but it's a really nice museum, and it's open in the summer and costs about $5 to go into it, and it's definitely worth it. You can see Howland Pond across the road over there. So this is the Seal Cove Auto Museum right at the north end of the village of Seal Cove. So now we're going to turn and continue south through the village of Seal Cove. Now, we were up here a week or so ago when I actually went to Seal Cove. It's near the south end of the village and is not actually that close to the village itself. So Seal Cove Village, like all the villages on this quiet side of the island, doesn't have a lot in it. There are a few churches. Here's one right here, and but it's mostly homes. And there are a few businesses. Seal Cove has a post office, as does the next village we'll go through, which is called West Tremont. And this is a popular area for people to own summer homes. And a lot of the homes here are summer homes, particularly the ones along Howland Pond and along the water to the west of us. Okay, we're coming right up here to the road that actually goes out to Seal Cove. We're past Howland Pond, and just in a couple hundred yards we're going to come up to the road that goes out to the cove itself. It isn't marked as going to Seal Cove, so unless you know about it, it'll be hard for you to find. Okay, this is it. Right here. This road goes out to Seal Cove. It's called Cape Road. And there is the upper end of Seal Cove. Okay, I can't really see it from here, down through the trees. Okay, we're just about to sort of downtown Seal Cove. This is one of the few businesses, Harper's Redemption Center. No, that is not a place where you can go for spiritual redemption. It's where you can return your empty bottles. And here's the fire department. And up here a little further, we will pass the post office. Unfortunately, a good deal of the road at this time of day is straight into the sun. This little white building on the right is the Seal Cove Post Office. Not much there. And we're now going to drive out of Seal Cove into the village of West Tremont. All right, I just transitioned into West Tremont, and we're just going to drive down here through town. You can see there's not a lot here. West Tremont does have a bit more of a defined center of town, which is just up here a little bit, but I'll stop filming until we get there. Oh, wait a second, we're there. This is downtown West Tremont with the church. There is another post office in here. I'm not sure exactly where it is. What is, yeah, here it is. This little building with the red door is the West Tremont Post Office. And at this point, we pretty much drive out of the built-up part of West Tremont, and we're just into rural residential. As you can see, just a house every now and then as we drive. This stretch here is pretty typical of West Tremont. As you can see, other than a few homes along the side of the road, there's not a lot here. And we'll continue down here. The last thing in West Tremont before we enter the village of Bernard is a campground that's a privately run campground. And we're only a mile or so from it. Actually, we're right at it. It's right here. We just passed the entrance to it, and now we're entering the village of Bernard. Most of Bernard is on Bass Harbor. We're still a mile or so from the harbor. Here is a boat builder, classic boat shop that builds some very nice 21-foot day sailors called Pisces 21s. One of the few builders left on the island. And we drive through, and basically we're just looking at homes along the edge of the road, some with some structures that for where lobstermen live. Here's a small boat yard. This is Bass Harbor Boat, this building here, and the next one up here behind these boats, it's one of the specialist wooden boat yards on the island. And here is the turn to go into the main part of Bernard along the harbor and the upper end of Bass Harbor itself right here. I think you've seen this before when we did our tour of Bernard. So we are now entering the village of Bass Harbor, which is on the eastern side of the harbor, Bass Harbor. Right now we're kind of at the north end of Bass Harbor, and we're going to continue around the north end of the harbor and then down the eastern side to the southern end of the island. Up here we pass yet another church, and then we're going to go by the Tremont Grade School, which is a K-8 school, and turn into what I think of as Bass Harbor proper, although this is Bass Harbor as well. As you can see, it isn't very far down the west side of the island. Right now they're working on a bridge up here. They're going to tear the bridge out and build a new one. It looks like they're finished for the day. They start very, very early. But this bridge is between Bass Harbor on the right and the salt marsh on the left. And they're going to build a new bridge and tear this one out. So here we go. And we'll continue into Bass Harbor. Now we're driving south through the main part of the village of Bass Harbor, right along the eastern side of the harbor. And right up here a little bit, I'll pan over and you can see the harbor and just how close we are to it. There it is. And so this, as I've shown you before, is all residential with the exception of a couple of restaurants and one boat yard. This is the closest point of approach of the main road to the harbor. It's near high tide now, so there's actually water there. At low tide this dries out completely, which is why there's some ice on it. As we continue south through Bass Harbor, we've got a little bit over a mile, maybe a mile and a half to go to the southern end of the island, which we will drive right down to the end of the road at the southernmost point on Mount Desert Island. Now, as we continue through Bass Harbor, we're going to pass two other places. The post office right here, and just up here another 100 yards we're going to pass the fire station. And this is the main fire station for the town of Tremont right there. Now we'll just go up this little rise and another half-mile, and we'll turn on to Lighthouse Road, which goes out to the Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse, which we've already seen. There's, as you can see, it's just all residential down here. There's only one more business, and that is the Bass Harbor Campground, which is on the left just before we turn to go to the lighthouse. And I'm using the word turn a little loosely because if you just go straight up here, you go on to Lighthouse Road. You have to actually turn to stay on the main road. And this is Route 102A. Here's the campground over here. And last year they put in yurts for people in the summer. And here we go, out Lighthouse Road. Now I've got about a little over half a mile, and we will be at the southernmost point on Mount Desert Island. So this little drive today started at the westernmost point on the island at Bartlett Narrows, and will end at the southernmost point at the Bass Harbor Head Light. So here we go. And we're on Lighthouse Road now, which ends right here as we go into Acadia National Park and down the last quarter mile to the end of the road and the Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse. You can see the water ahead through the trees, and we can start to see some of the buildings at the lighthouse. And here we are at the Bass Harbor Head Light. I'll end this video with a view across the Bass Harbor Bar to Placentia Island on the right, Black's Island in the middle, and Gott's Island over here. And we can just see the lighthouse itself down through the trees. So this has been a tour of the west side of Mount Desert Island, from Bartlett Narrows to the Bass Harbor Bar Lighthouse. So thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and don't forget to click that notification bell.